And a very good evening, everyone. Welcome into your box seat, brought to you in association with Woodland Stud. We really appreciate their long-standing support of the show. Michael Guerin is with me. Michael, we're on the eve of the Miracle Mile in Sydney and, of course, an intriguing derby with Woodlands out of Alexandra Park. A very good evening to you.
G'day, mate. Hi, everybody. Hope you had a good start to the week. Amazing Dream. Didn't see her turning up, the little filly, in the derby, and that's added a bit more to what could have looked a two-horse race. And at the moment, that's one of the themes of racing in both codes, isn't it? Lots of two-horse race feels to certain things. And as we saw last weekend in both codes, they often don't tend to work out that way. It was a massive night at Menangle, Greg. I think it got a bit lost, I'll be honest, behind what happened with the gallopers at Renwick. But what the team around Stylish Memphis, and even more importantly for me, Greg, the team around Bettor's Heart achieved was pretty special in its own way.
Yeah, well, we'll go back and have a look at the ladies' ship because it was a stunning race. So much happened inside the last couple of 100 metres. We get Fred Hastings to bring them home. The winner, starved of a run at the moment, angles to the outside. And even when you watch it again, I doubt you'll concur with the photo finish in the end that she actually got up.
Our Princess Tiffany with Belle of Montana. The leader narrowly here is Better in Force. Out wide, our Princess Tiffany. Bettor's Heart right off the track. They've hit it locked together. I think maybe a nostril for Better in Force. Bettor's Heart.
So there was absolutely nothing in it. Fred Hastings thought Better in Force. Of course, the three Kiwis, Michael, charging home. Belle of Montana, our Princess Tiffany, and Bettor's Heart, who at the 200 metre mark, you couldn't have given a winning chance.
I couldn't have given her a winning chance 2 months ago. 2 weeks ago, I didn't think she'd be there. And in the run, absolutely no hope. She's a gate speed horse back here in New Zealand, Greg. Got crossed from barrier one by everybody. There were horses in the barn who crossed her. She got pushed back to last. She's come around them with momentum up and won. And on their New Zealand form, there's no case you can make Bettor's Heart just runs straight past Belle Montana and our Princess Tiffany. As we said on the show a couple of weeks ago, it's a gutsy move from Peter Baggery to take this horse, who wasn't the best mare in the country, to Menangle. It's paid off with a sub 150 time, a Group 1 victory, and quite remarkably for Bettor's Heart, a place in the Miracle Mile.
Yeah, and we are joined online by co-owner and trainer Peter Baggery. First of all, Peter, congratulations on what must have been a massive and memorable occasion for you and your family, taking out a Group 1 in Australia.
Thanks, Greg. No, it's we're still not having our feet on the ground. Probably it's just it was amazing. We knew she was going to go good, but actually to pull it off in the manner she did just means so much more. And the whole family's wrapped and onward and upward to next Saturday. Looking forward to it.
Peter, the plan to go to Australia for you, great at Alexandra Park and, of course, the Queen of Hearts. Very, very good at Addington as well, both at Group 1 level. Is that when you thought, well, actually, she can probably get one of these? We're having a look now, Peter, at the Queen of Hearts, and she did a power of work in this and was very brave, wasn't she?
She was. And, well, you know, the reason we decided to come, Tom was pushing. She was fairly good. And when we think back on those runs she had in those group races and got narrowly beat by, you know, lovely mares, Barry and Mark's mares, and, you know, she'd done more work than any of them every time. She'd always drawn worse and had to rough it up. And she was caught 3 wide park, you know, every occasion. And just the manner in which she went down to those horses, which we thought, well, hell, we can have a crack here, you know. And, she's 6-year-old, she's mature, she's tough, and she can handle the trip, and it worked out well to everybody concerned, so it was terrific. All
right, that Addington run as well behind Wainui Creek, she obviously went very close in that. We're just having a look at that now, Peter, and she made the lead on this occasion and just took Wainui Creek to get through on her inside, so she was brave in this too. You go into the ladyship last Saturday night and you come up with barrier 1. Now, we've seen her at Addington Raceway on numerous occasions. In fact, at one stage, she won 3 races over the short course from barrier 9. So we know she has gate speed. What were you thinking during the run in the ladyship because so many horses had got in front of it?
Well, we thought we'd gone, you know. you say, the gate speed was there, and but the outside horses just fired up that much that they blew away, and we thought we might be leading and trailing perhaps, and those first 4 horses in the barrier draw were probably going to dominate the race up the front, but gee, it turned to custard. And when we saw 4 back, I thought, everybody says you just can't come from 3 or 4 back on the fence in these group races. And I thought, well, it looks like we're done and dusted. But the race was probably run to hell for a little bit, and she managed to find the line. It was great.
Peter, congratulations to you and the family. You've won your Group 1 now. You've got a sub-150 time, so I suppose there's nothing left to prove. What was the key factor in making the decision to accept an invite to the Miracle Mile?
Well, they invited us more or less straight after the race, minutes after the race, and they had to have a decision on the night, and we quickly thought about it and thought, gee, look, this is an honour and a half. We've never had a horse in the Miracle Mile, obviously, and she's grown terrific, and it's a lot of money involved, and we thought, well, how can you turn it down? And we're just so pleased that we're involved, and so pleased they asked us now. And look, if we run last on Saturday night, we'll still go home with our heads high, but I don't think she will.
Is it a case, Peter, where John is driving her again? You just asked John to look after her for the first 400 metres of the race. Hope the Australians all power up and then maybe they come back to you, because I presume you're not intending on blasting forward from the gate.
I wouldn't think so. But I just hand the reins to Johnny and he does what he thinks. But as you say, you'd think there'd be heaps of pace up front. There's a lot of speed horses there and they'll go early. And I'm imagining anyway that we'll just look for some cover and see what develops. And we know she can come off a horse's back well. That's always been her thing all the way along, and all of her races, that she's loved to come off a horse's back. And for the last 5 or 6 weeks, she's never had the opportunity until last Saturday. And there she was, just the way that she has always been, So we just hope that the race pans out for her.
Peter, talk about things panning out the way you wanted. 2 years ago, you go to the specialists, your vision isn't the best at the time, you find out you've got a tumour in your brain and you need an operation, then you need some chemo and you need some radio. Were there times during that process you thought you wouldn't train horses again, or you thought, you doubted you might be here in 2 years' time?
You always have those thoughts, Mick, but I never really thought I wouldn't be training horses, to be honest. I knew I'd be around for a little while, at least, and the surgeons gave me, no reason to think that I wouldn't be. And so I've just carried on, and the family just carried on the way we always do, and I've kept training and kept loving it, and I don't see any reason why I'd stop in the near future.
We're talking about the future because it's obviously you've got Saturday night coming up, but we can't talk about your harness racing accomplishments without talking about the past. You're the man who found and educated On the Mighty Quinn. You're also the man who took Burlington Bertie to an Auckland Cup victory. Must seem a long time ago, Pete. No, this is Burlington Bertie winning back in '95. On the Mighty Quinn, of course, after this. For a guy like yourself, is it great to be back on the big stage? Is it great to be going up against Luke McCarthy and all these sort of people after having probably 15, maybe 20 years away from the biggest stage?
Well, it's a tremendous thrill. We've been lucky enough to have 3 really good horses, and we've had a few nice ones in between. And when you haven't got a really top-grade horse, you just keep trying to make one out of the others. And taking a couple of horses to Addington and having a bit of success, it's pretty damn good as well. When that horse finally comes along, it's a bit special. Then you just enjoy it that much more. But no one has good horses all the time, and we've had a few nice ones to keep us happy as the years go by. But, it feels pretty good against those big boys, as you say.
Pete, Pete, a lot of people who are watching this show casually or people who don't follow harness racing wouldn't know, of course, that John Dunn and Dexter are your nephews and Robert is your brother-in-law in the past. What's the key to Peter Baggery's training philosophy? Are you a feed 'em big, work 'em hard sort of guy? Are you a heats worker? Do you sprint them up a lot? How do you work horses and what's the key to how you train?
Well, we don't work. We never work any horses hard. We give them a long, slow preparation, and we usually let them find their speed when they go to the workouts or the trials. We might brush one up at home, but we do nothing. We do no fast quarters, no fast workout times. Just long, quiet, steady work, and build up from there. And we're guided very much by their heart rate, and that's how we do it. And let them show the ability when the time comes. You know, basically there's nothing flash there, nothing special.
Peter, are you excited about Saturday night? I know you and Mrs. Baggery have stayed across there for the week and you get to, I suppose, knock around with the Shane Trittons and the Luke McCarthys and Greg Hope will be over there again. Is it fun and exciting going to a Miracle Mile?
Oh, it's unbelievable. Yeah, it's terrific. We go to the retention barn tomorrow at 12 o'clock. That'll be a bit different. Not sure what to expect there because we didn't have that last weekend. And but I know it's just terrific. The footballs have just been unbelievably good for us and good to us. And everybody, the chapper in their barn over the road, gave me one of his paddocks, which is a lovely paddock with shade and a bit of grass. And you couldn't be happier. It is exciting. And you do it again in the flash. Yeah, it's great.
Hey Peter, really appreciate you taking the time out this morning to have a chat to us, to you and Tom, the entire family. I know it's going to be a massive occasion. You've already accomplished a huge result last weekend and I hope things go well for you this weekend as well.
Thanks so much guys, and a pleasure. Okay.
So that's Peter Baggery.
What a great story.
It's a great yarn. It really is. And she's always been a good mare. And some of those runs at Addington and 56-mile rates from the outside of the gate proved that she was up to Group 1 quality. No one saw that coming last week.
How could you?
Now she's gone a couple of seconds here in our best Group 1s and won the richest mares only race in Australasia. So
and she's beaten the horses who were consistently beating her. And she's come from behind Bella Montana to beat her, which is incredibly rare. She's gone 149.7 and we saw recently at the sales these good fast mares, and she's obviously by Bettor's Delight, they're worth a lot of money now because they can leave foals worth 150, 200k. There's so many good parts to this story, but it's a human story, Greg. It's not about the horse. I mean, Peter was diagnosed with a brain tumour 2.5 years ago at the age of 66. Obviously, that's a horrific experience for anybody and terrifying for the family, and you do think the worst in those situations. I've been there with family members. And then he's had chemo and radio, which are really hard on people. And the doctor said to him, sat down at the end of the process and said, look, there's a good chance this is going to come back because they often do. But go get on with your life and enjoy yourself. And at the moment,
they're enjoying themselves.
It's a man who's enjoying himself.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a wonderful human story and it happens to involve a horse.
All right, let's get into the rest of this Miracle Mile. And of course, we need to have a look at the 2 Group 1 heats. First of those, the Hunter Cup winner, King of Swing. That's him in front, Michael. He was very strong to the line. He went slightly quicker than Bettor's Heart. And he's a bona fide chance in this year's Miracle Mile.
Look, he's got blazing gate speed, we know that. He wasn't crushing here, and he will lead this week, one would assume, from barrier 3 again. But I think there's enough there, the way the others were closing on him, that they would feel comfortable. He's not a horse who can get hammered in front and still win the Miracle Mile. So he is the favourite, but nobody would have looked at that and gone, wow, that's scary. He'll just be too good. AG's White Sox, really good there, but crucial for him. Absolutely crucial, barrier 1. We know he's got gate speed, Gregory. I think he holds the back of King of Swing, and if King of Swing stays in front, Luke McCarthy had a good talk to him last night. He said, I'll be staying in front. Absolutely no doubts. If that's true, AG's White Sox is right in this Miracle Mile.
Yeah, he absolutely is. And last time he drew barrier 1 over a short course was in the Taylor Mile, and he was able to win on that occasion as well. Second in that race was Code Bailey. I thought also very good. Has a part to play.
Very good, tough horse. Now, he's one of many pressure horses in the race. Him, Major Dam potentially. Lochinvar Art we saw sitting parked in the Chariots of Fire. Ultra Orlando's interesting. We'll get to him next. You put a bit of pressure into this race, and all of a sudden, an AG's White Sox sitting off this, or sitting just in behind the leader, potential leader, is in the right place to win a Miracle Mile. I know it sounds crazy, AG's White Sox winning a Miracle Mile, but it's a very real possibility. And My Field Marshal. Barrier 2, he drew barrier 3 2 years ago when he won the Miracle Mile. He just sat there and hunted and hunted and hunted. I think Anthony Butt will do exactly the same thing this week. I think this is going to be a really hard Miracle Mile for the horses working, because there's so many, Greg, who would seem to want to get involved.
Ultra Orlando, of course, winning the Schweppes Sprint. Try and say that quickly. Here's My Field Marshal in front, and Ultra Orlando, this ended up being a big night for Jenna Dunn. She was over there with husband John. He's won the ladyship, and the horse that they part own delivered this.
Outside now, going to the lead is Elder Orlando. Elder Orlando's quickly roped in My Field Marshal, who will qualify, but Elder Orlando into the Miracle Mile with My Field Marshal. Sicario up there for fourth.
So he was right place, right time in the trail. Amazing story behind this horse, of course. Placed in the sire stakes as a 3-year-old, had all sorts of injury issues, to the point where part owner Neil Pilcher said, the prognosis is not good here. John Dunn came along and said, look, we'll take him to the beach. He said, look, we think as a racing proposition, that's it, it's over for him. Typical of Neil Pilcher. Yep, no worries, here's the horse, done.
So he gave it to them?
They got the horse for free, because he was basically finished as a racing proposition. Now, he's a bona fide winning chance. Not only a bona fide winning chance, he just won a Group 1, and he's a bona fide winning chance of a Miracle Mile. So it's a great yarn, isn't it?
I'm going to back AG's White Sox. That's with no Kiwi bias at all. I think he sits in the trail behind King of Swing and gets his chance.
And all the pressure's around him. He's just smoking his pipe. You would imagine that at that speed, there's generally a run for the horse that's in the trail. What
did you see in the first video there?
King of Swing.
King of Swing. Drifting up the track.
Yep, and that's what they'll be hoping for sure.
I'm not saying he'll win the Miracle Mile, but I reckon he'll get out to $7. He's got a great chance, and what a remarkable story. And if he wins the Miracle Mile, I know Ricky May won't be watching live, because Ricky May will be in bed. There's no doubts about that at 11:30 on Saturday night. But Ricky, if this horse wins the Miracle Mile, a lot of us are going to be thinking about you. By the way, I did speak to Ricky May last week. I said, how's the recovery going for the great little man? He said, look, it's slow, but I'm okay. So the medical reports are good. Ricky's kicking back, and of course, he's the man everybody thinks about with AG's White Sox. To Team Hope, good luck with him. Sorry, you're not the story of the Miracle Mile for us this year so far, because of Bettor's Heart. But it's an unusual race, Greg. I said to someone on Monday, remarkable Mark Purdon's not the Miracle Mile. And then all of a sudden he is.
Yeah, exactly. Out of that race too, Hale Christian, who's in a lower race on Saturday night, was really good, home in about 25.04. Let's have a look at race number 6, and the race I'm actually talking about is right now. And when I say a lower race, this is the old Bohemia Crystal, so it's still at Group 1 level, and Hale Christian is a $4.22 favourite. He's actually raced really well, but he needs race pattern and position in the field to roll his way to be a winning chance.
Don't most of these?
Yes.
This tends to be a brutally hard run race. They're all very fit. The 2400s for the good horses at Menangle tend to be really punishing. So I don't have a strong opinion on it. It's one of those races where you want a horse who's not going to have a hard run.
We need to get to the Derby now, which traditionally we've performed right up in, but this year it's been not a great year for our 3-year-olds in Oz. Here is the first of the heats, Michael. Perfect Stride, who we know well, in front and doing it quite nicely. Now, all of these Derby heats will run in pretty similar time.
And they came home in 26.7, 26.7 and 26.8 or something. So basically they've all run up the straight exactly the same. So what we're going to show you here is 3 heats where you're seeing exactly the same thing. And that is a leader mucking around, running up the straight. And that just shows there's nothing between all these horses. So we know this horse pretty well. He's nippy. He's a very good horse. He can win a derby. Wide on the track is Smooth Deal, who seems to have lost a bit of ambition. He actually found the line okay there, but...
That's Zeus Bromac getting into second, of course, formerly in the...
He's been really good.
Zach Butcher
He's
team.
been good in Menangle. Here's the next team. Pacifico Dream is the horse in front. Now, Lineup, who won the Victoria Derby, is sitting parked. And as I said, you're just watching the same race over and over again. Leader, they run up the straight in 26 and change, and everybody tries as hard as they can to make ground. Very good here, Lineup. Goes to show he's not a great 3-year-old because he can't just sit parked and win, but he might be close to the best of these 3-year-olds, Greg. So,
and we know he's got early speed. We know he led the Sire Stakes here in New Zealand, and I think he's certainly racing far better than before he left these shores, because he was slightly underperforming. He's loving the Australian style.
Yeah, and consistent racing. He's raced a lot. Like Dr. Susan in the fillies ranks, he's turned up week in, week out, same version. Here's Governor Jujon.
This is the horse I think's the one to beat.
Yeah, and again, he's just a very good horse. He has natural high speed. They run up the straight here, again, too quickly for those who are trying to make ground. So he's better drawn than most of the other favourites. He'll got a really good chance of blasting to the front, and he's not very big, Greg, but he'll be awfully hard to beat. It really is a case of, if they run the first 857, then the leader probably wins the race. If they run it in 55 or 54 or something silly, and somebody hooks into somebody else, it becomes a swoopers race. But over a long period of time, the Derby at Menangle has been incredibly hard to make ground in. Here's the market.
Which one would you go for? I mean, I'm happy to go with Governor Jujon for the reasons I think he'll be in front, and therefore, if he is able to get an early, easier sectional, then I think he'll take a lot of running down.
Impossible not to agree with you. I think Lineup's maybe the best horse in the race, but if they hook into each other, they get involved into each other, they get stuck in, then a Perfect Stride becomes a swooper. So I'll watch it. I'm not going to bet into it. It's just a race where so much is going to be determined by how willing they are to hold their positions inside that first 800 metres. Traditionally at Menangle, over 2,400, the first 800 tends to be quite slow, then they turn the race into a mile race. If they do that, Governor Jujon and Lineup, who will probably be on the speed, will dominate. But they don't. 2,400 around Menangle, Greg, is an awfully long way.
It can get to the bottom of a few horses, can't it?
So it's going to be a good race. I actually think it's one of the better derbies we've seen for a while, because we haven't had a lot of derbies in Australasia in the last 10 years who have had 5 or 6 winning chances. They're rarities, because often they're dominated by the Lazarus type like horses.
All right, New South Wales Oaks, we had 3 really good fillies, and they went to war nice and early. That allowed Stylish Memphis, who drew 1, to just posse up, move forward, get the lead, and then, in the hands of Mark Purdon, she was able to unleash up the Menangle straight, and she was very, very good. Margita finished 3rd, Dr. Susan was 4th after burning up a lot, Michael, but Wayne Higgs bred and races this filly, and the big news out of this, Michael, was that she will remain in the care of Mark Purdon. So that was the last night effectively for Elite Racing, Mark Jones and Brendan Hill. Mark telling me on Monday that she's in the care of Mark Purdon, and he believes it's the right place for her for the remainder of the season. So that's the decision they've come up with.
Yeah, makes her a stablemate of Amazing Dream, which is a little bit surprising. Well done to Wayne Higgs. Wayne's invested a lot of money over a long period of time, and he's had some pretty poor horses. He's had horses that have gone to Hokitika on the grass and done all the hard yards. So happy to see him get a good horse. I think she's a really good filly, but I think she's nowhere as good as Amazing Dream. And for that reason, when she gets back here, she's going to need to have improved a length or two, which she might have done from over there. Well done to them also, and to Dr. Susan's team. They rolled the dice, like Peter Baggery did with Bettor's Heart, and went across there, even though they weren't the best here, and they've won an Oaks apiece. So there are 2 fillies from 2 different stables who took their chance, and now have Group 1 winning future broodmares.
All right, looking forward to seeing her back in New Zealand. The other big part about leaving her with the All-Stars is Mark Purdon will be able to drive her. Our Step Up did finish second in the last race as well, behind Just a Little Talk, so a little bit more money in the bank there. Let's go across state. head to Melbourne, and of course it was the Australasian Trotting Grand Prix. This was a good race. It was always going to be a great race. Kiwis in it, of course. Temporarily in the trail in the hands of Todd Mitchell and Massive Metro. Running on nicely, running on really well. Tornado and Valley in front, but sitting in the 1-1 smoking its pipe was Dance Craze, and the former Great Southern Stars victor at this very venue did this and won it in great style, and I think that model meant a little bit too.
Yeah, the daughter of La Cucaracha, who obviously was a great mare, won the Rowe Cup. She came across here for the Jewels and was third on that occasion. She's really good. She'll head to Menangle this week and she'll love it. She'll follow the speed there and be awfully hard to beat. Here is the Trotters Mile, the Menangle Mile, and Temporale's got a good chance, but look, there's actually a fair bit of gate speed inside him. This market's priced him to run to the lead, and he's no good thing to do that because Tough Monarch and Big Jack Hammer both leave well. Poor old Massive Metro's way out there, and that's going to be enormously painful for him. But I think Dance Craze will probably beat them, but she is a quirky mare. She'll need to travel and settle in because she can be a bit of a bitch.
All right, let's move on to the mares race, and we've just seen our Princess Tiffany, who's getting a little bit closer to the record now of Bella Montana. I think it's about 4-2. I think it's somewhere in that category, but $1.90, our Princess Tiffany, very good in the ladyship. Bella Montana, probably not as sharp as she can be, but she gets her chance here to bounce back.
Really like this race. It's actually my favourite betting race of the weekend. Bella Montana needed that Menangle run last week. I'm a huge believer. I have been for 5 years. If you're going to win a major race at Menangle, you need to race there first. You need to. It's just incredibly hard to do. She's had a race there now. She'll be better for the experience. I think she'll win. Okay,
$3.20. That's a nice price for
Well, she was favourite last week, and the barrier draws are largely irrelevant, so she's got a great chance.
All right, terrific night there at Menangle on Saturday night. We're about to take a short break though. On the other side, we've got another very big one at Alexandra Park. Time for us to turn our attention to the Woodlands Auckland Derby. Over $500,000 goes on the line at Alexandra Park on Friday night, 200,000 of that in the Woodlands Northern Derby, the 104th running of this great race. Let's go back to the prelude from last Friday night and the clash once again, Michael Guerin, between Copy That and One Change. And Copy That had the wood once again.
He's a really good horse, and he might potentially have the motor to be a top horse. But when he gets going, man, he's got an effortless stride. He just covers the ground so easily. I really like him. I think he's a proper horse. But One Change was excellent there after the race pattern turned out the way many of us thought it would, and he basically had no chance. He was never going to be a chance once this horse got in front of him. If Natalie Goes sits parked, she gets beat. If she goes back, she gets beat. He got beat about as good as you can get beat. So, different race this week with the barrier draws we're going to see shortly, but One Change knows how to win these big races. Is Copy That a better horse? We'll discuss that more in depth very shortly.
All right, let's get to Copy That's trainer Ray Green and get some insight from him. In terms of a Derby trial, that was perfect?
Yeah, couldn't fault it. Perfect.
He's got so many attributes, so many things in the locker, hasn't he? He's got speed, he can stay, and he's seeming now to be at the peak of his powers.
Yes, he's certainly on the improve, and what he is, he's got high speed, as you say, but he's got a particularly good big engine as well. I mean, he can carry his speed quite a ways.
So the 2700, clearly of the Derby, right up his alley.
Yeah, shouldn't worry him at all, Greg. He'll be good.
Tell us about him post-race. He appears to have come back and he's really relaxed about life straight after it.
Oh, yeah, look, he's a pretty laid-back horse. I mean, at home we can put him in the cart and jog two on the lead, but round him and he's like an old boot. But he comes here and he puffs himself up and he knows what he's here for, you know. So Yeah, he's
Pretty brave performance from Tommy Lincoln as well.
Tommy's a good, honest horse. He keeps running. Yeah. Where'd he finish? Third?
30. Yep.
Oh, okay. That's good.
Pretty good night out. Yeah, nice work.
Okay. Thank you, Greg.
Well, it was always going to be tactically difficult for you, and he's gone great, though.
Oh, he went super, Greg. Just wrapped with the way he hit the line. He'll benefit from the run. I know, Cobby, that's going to be really hard to beat, but I just couldn't have been happier with my guy.
Brendy burnt up a couple of times. He was still pretty brave.
Oh, very much so, Greg. You know, I thought very good effort. Natalie said he does lack a little bit of high speed, but look, yeah, I had to sort of come out when I did. He's going to be 3 fence. So, look, it was a good, solid run, and I think he'll improve with the run in the 2700 up his alley.
So there's the Derby prelude, of course, now part of the lead up to it.
He's a crazy man, that Ray Green. Have you ever seen a guy more excited to win a major race? I thought he was almost asleep. He's one of my favourite people in racing. I love Ray.
He's a great bloke.
He's a great guy. And nothing seems to change him. He come back from the sales at Karaka, he had a whole bunch of $200,000 horses. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
And Ray's in his 70s. He used to train in Ireland and Wales, and there's almost nobody in New Zealand racing I'll be happy to see to get a good horse. But what about the contrast of the interviews? Natalie's all spark and she's going and she's all pumped up, and Ray's like, oh, would he finish? Third. Yeah. Oh. It's just beautiful stuff. It's one of the great things about racing is the contrast. You couldn't get more contrast
better example than
Natalie and Ray.
All right, we have to have a look at the Oaks, of course, with Pascoe's the Jewelers, because we would have focused on this race on its own, but now this filly, Michael, as we'll hear from Natalie Rasmussen post-race, is in the Derby. And look, I believe here she's waiting. She's waiting for the other horses. Plutonium Lady charged up the lane. I don't think she would have got past her, even if she'd got clear earlier, because yeah, she just needed waking up a little bit. Amazing Dream.
Well, she might have got past her on momentum, and then the other horse might have still been able to come back at her. So Plutonium Lady was excellent, really, really good. I think this filly, I agree with you, was waiting, and I think she'll actually enjoy for once, probably, this week being able to follow the speed. She's had to make all her own luck and be her own bully and just do everything by herself almost all season, including against the older horses like Heisenberg during the Cup Carnival. I think this Derby, now she's drawn wide, will give her a chance to be driven differently now. Mark Purdon's to drive her?
Yes.
Because they had a draw at the All-Stars where apparently, I haven't seen the footage, but you can check it out on the website. They drew out of a saucepan.
Yeah, yeah.
They couldn't make this stuff up, could
A steel pot.
Yep. I'm picking Chris Waller. This isn't not how he decides who's going to ride his horses in races, but that's how they do it at the All-Stars. They put the names in a steel pot. Is that right?
Yep, that's it.
This is true. And they drew it out, and Natalie's driving one change.
Yeah, and Mike was standing there waiting to see who was driving his horse, which was very humorous. And Ashley Royal, who looks after One Change, was delighted in the background. So yeah, go to the All-Stars website, you can check that out. Let's hear from Natalie post-race out of the Oaks and a couple of other comments before Michael and I analyse the two-horse war that might be the Woodlands Northern Derby. Congratulations, Natalie. This outstanding filly, once she found the front, was always going to be the one to beat, and she's done it in very good style again tonight.
Oh, she did, Greg. She was probably a little bit too keen over the distance, but you know, in saying that, she went good, and she probably just a bit of a cunning little bugger now. She just sort of gets away from him, and then halfway up the lane, she sort of thinks she's got him covered, so just sort of waits a bit. But no, she's a really great little girl.
Plutonium Lady's got relatively close to her, but I'm picking from what you've said there that if she'd spotted her, she would have kicked again?
Oh, she probably would have, Greg. Yeah, she's a funny little girl, and she wins, but yeah, she just waits and has a bit of a game of it. Spanish
Armada, Almac, now her. Jean's having a bit of fun in this race too.
Yeah, Jeannie's got a wonderful eye for her fillies. Yeah, she does a great job picking them out, and this one's just a little beauty.
Now, the big question. Is she good enough to go with the boys, and is that possibly as close as inside the next 7 days?
Yeah.
Okay, that was pretty quick answer, so we'll see her in the Derby here next week.
Well, most likely, Greg. Just make sure she pulls up okay. That'll be the big deciding factor. That didn't seem a hard run for her. She did it pretty well. Just as long as she recovers well and pulls up good on Monday when the nom's shut, if she's all good, she'll be in there.
Congratulations again.
Thank you, Greg.
David, first steer on her in a Group 1 race from Barrier 1, and she got a pretty economical trip.
Oh, absolutely, you know, back there 3 fence and the trailer didn't kick on when they turned for home. I got a gap up the inside and she hit the line well.
You got held up a wee bit and you got reasonably close to the smart filly and Amazing Dream. She's got a bright future, Plutonium Lady.
Yeah, I sort of watched a few videos and it raced quite good down south, and yeah, that was a good effort.
Johnny, first time Town Hall Company, you got to be wrapped with that.
Yeah, no, definitely, Greg. You know, he had a good draw to work with, and following the right horse. She got a little bit lost around that last corner, but to her credit, she stuck to her guns up the straight.
2,700 metres, she's proved she can stick that out, so we'll see her in other Oaks races, I'm sure. And what about the thrill for Simon McMullen, first Group 1 runner, placed?
Yeah, no, he's very happy. You know, he loves his horses to bits, and he does a great job with them. So full credit to Simon, and hopefully onwards and upwards from here.
And I'm sure it will be for both second and third, but as we know, we have the Oaks winner now going into the Derby. But Michael, the clash between two horses didn't quite work out in the Thoroughbred Code last week, but this One Change, Copy That head-to-head war. It's dominated by Copy That at the moment, and we're going to have a look here at the monitor, Michael, starting with the sire stakes.
It is on the scoreboard, Greg. It's dominated on the scoreboard, but point out both of them here, because on race performances, we're going to give them points.
Near outside second row was Copy That. That's him and David Butcher's yellow cap coming down the middle of the track.
Here's
in the
One
trail
Change.
throughout, One Change. Got a beautiful run. Rate them out of 10 for me, Michael, in the sire stakes.
This horse has won, but it's probably a 6.5, 7 out of 10 win. The performance of this horse stomping down the outside, it's a 9 out of 10. It's gone absolutely super. Probably should have won the race. So far 1-0 to One Change over Copy That, but on points, on raw ability, on how they're actually performing, we're giving this one to Copy That.
Okay, then we move to Alexandra Park, part of the carnival. So this was pre the Premier nights. There's Copy That in front, One Change. I think Natalie conceded nice and early in this race and thought, I can't run this horse down. And when he wins like this, David never moves. Gee, he looks a powerful horse.
Gets over the ground very easily, and that's how good he is in front. Now, One Change lost nothing there. Basically had to sit parked, as you said, a long way from home. He couldn't win that race once Copy That had led. So yes, Copy That gets a win, makes it 1-1 on the win versus beaten ledger. But for me, I mark those even. They're both an 8 out of 10 there. Still, on points so far, Gregory, points decision, Copy That's in front.
Both of those were off the second row on that occasion. Here they are in the Alabar Classic. That's Line Up, who's one of the favourites for the Derby in New South Wales. Copy That gets crossed at the start. They get to about another 20 metres, and there's a bit of a shadow there, and Copy That thinks, I'm going to try and get out of this, rolls into a gallop. Now, normally, at this level, Michael, a horse does that over the short course, forget about them. They'll be out of play. He works forward, gets to the lead, and as we roll the video on, when they get to the point of about the 400-metre mark, he's back in front. Again, he's got tactical advantage over One Change.
One Change, beautifully driven, comes through the middle with Natalie Rasmussen, so he's been absolutely perfectly handled. But this horse here has galloped, lost momentum. Anybody who's been for a run, had a car pull out in front of them, had to stop, start again, you know how hard it is to do that. At this speed, to do that, regather yourself and win, and you're thinking, okay, One Change has come from way back in the field, but he's been beautifully driven to do so. Not only has he won their Copy That, making it 2-1 in their meetings, but he's won significantly better performing than the other horse. For me, marking them out of 10, Copy That is at least 4 points in front. But what does that mean for the market this week? Because Greg, One Change, as he often does, has got the really good draw. Copy That has not as good a draw, and this might come down to where the stablemates, Tommy Lincoln, flying even better, maybe not so much Amazing Dream, how involved they get and whether One Change is able to control from barrier 1, or whether barrier 1 means Natalie only has one option, which is to punch up even if she doesn't want to. I think it's a really, really intriguing derby. Who are you going for? Because the bookies can barely split them.
Yeah, they can't. You're right. At Alexandra Park, Copy That has had the advantage, but I think One Change from the barrier gets his chance.
From where? In the trail? Is he going to lead?
I think he'll lead. I think he'll lead, and she'll take luck out of play. Even if he's in the trail, he's still the horse to beat for mine. I love Copy That. He's an outstanding 3-year-old, but I think Tactical Advantage goes to One Change this week. And as Natalie always describes him, he's an opportunist. He's come up with the right barrier draw in the Jewels. He's come up with the right barrier draw in the Sire Stakes. And now for this. It's 3-1 at the moment if you add in the Sire Stakes to Copy That. I think it'll be 3-2 after the Derby on Friday night.
It's hard to argue with the logic of that. But I think Copy That's a better horse. I think Copy That, they're in a transitional phase, this group. I think Copy That will win the Derby on Friday night, and I think he'll beat One Change. One of the other features of the night sees Triple Eight, who last week had the spreaders off for the first time, return, Greg, for a race against exactly the same field. If the Triple Eight we're about to see turns up this Friday night, to be honest, he should be winning again.
Star, homeward bound on the cards, opens up a length, Star Galleria Parker, Triple Eight down the outside, check-in, can't get a crack of them, then Gambit, but it's on the cards, 100 to go from now. Here's Triple Eight winding up strongly on the cards, Triple Eight flies on the outside, got him! Triple Eights from on the cards, photos third. Had my eyes off them. Gambit.
Yeah, so terrific late burst there from Triple Eight on the cards. Had them shot to bits, Michael, and looked all over the winner. This week, really intriguing for the City of Auckland free-for-all, the way the barrier draws lined up, because on the cards probably still has the ability to get across them early. There's only 7 in it, and he's in barrier 6.
It's exactly the same field, and on those performances, because Triple Eight came from last, he has to be top pick. And probably has to win. They're not the two horses who interest me the most. Star Galleria. I wouldn't say he was terribly disappointing last week, but he wasn't as good as he can be. This week gets barrier 2, and I think he can hold if they want to hold. But you've spoken to Stephen Reid. What does he say about where he's at and where he's going to be at on Friday night?
Yeah, well, they took a blood test off him post-race because he did underperform, although he did sit parked. He's good enough to do that. And he said, look, his red blood cell was slightly out. I'm not doing much with him this week. I'm freshening him up, and I'm pretty happy with where he's at. So let's have a look at the market for the City of Auckland free-for-all. And we see Star Galleria at $4.50, Triple Eight $2.40. Well, if you weren't overly fussed about taking about $3.40 from last week, $2.40 for a horse that's not going to lead, I don't know so much about that. On the cards interests me again though, Michael, because he's $10.
If he couldn't win last week, I don't think he can win this week. But I tell you what's really remarkable about this market. Double Rocket's $4. Now, no pot on Double Rocket. He's a lovely horse. He's going to end up a genuine open class horse. But I don't know how to say there. I hope he wins for Anna, but I can't possibly back him at $4.
So is he that?
He'll start $10.
Well, I think the on the cards Double Rocket market's almost round the wrong way. I'm not saying on the cards should be $4, but there's no way it should be 10 if that horse is 4.
I agree.
Okay.
So look, I'll make this conversation shorter. I think Triple Eight will win.
Okay, that'll do. Let's move on to a horse that just keeps on winning. Her name is Pretty Majestic, and she just won again, Michael, since coming across for the Robert Dunn team and Yabby Dam Farms. She does this, rounds them up, sprints very quickly, and wins comfortably again.
It's hard to make a case she's not the best trotting mare in the country. Let's get the commentary, because, as you said, it's almost deja vu.
Oh, she loves Kiwiland. Pretty Majestic gets another Breeders' Stakes, this time the Northern.
John, you've driven some pretty fast trotters. Sunday Sun in recent times clearly springs to mind, but it must be pretty cool feeling sitting basically anywhere in the field knowing that you're going to be able to round them up.
Yeah, it does. Like, she's a great mare. She's a good filly, Anton. They did a super job earlier on in her career, and we're sort of pretty lucky to get her, really, Greg. And these races, she's throwing in these races a wee bit, especially the handicap tonight, so we'll take that.
Just talk me through how she came to our shores. What was behind that?
Well, Pat and Anton sat down and they were dead right, a lot better Auckland way round. So got away with it last week at Cambridge. Didn't handle the bends very well, so it was a massive effort there. And she just loves going Auckland way. So yeah, so it's good to be with her.
She's more than just a speed horse as well, isn't she?
Yeah, like the first couple of runs up here, she really toughed it in. She's been racing not bad horses either, and really toughed it out. So. She put against the big ones. She's going to be competitive. Yeah,
definitely a race like the Anzac Cup and even the Roe Cup. If she's close enough to them on the bend, they're certainly going to know she's in it.
Definitely will, like you say, especially that speed and good follow of pace. So hopefully we can get her there.
I think she'll definitely be there and she'll have a big part to play. She's been a significant short in a 165 to 140, Michael, but that's with the scratching of KC.
Yeah, KC won a national record last week for 2,200 metres from the stand, but he's out. So that's changed this race, and to be honest, she should just bolt him, because the horses she's sharing the handicaps with, Sunny Glenn, she's had the wood on. Bordeaux is obviously at a latter stage of his career, and Woodstone's not going as good as her. So impossible to tip against her. It's one of the remarkable stories of a season where unusual storylines almost seem to be the norm. Yep, she's an Anzac Cup chance, but let's not forget Sunday's Sun, as you mentioned in the IV, Greg, will be coming back for this stable. Very much the forgotten horse of the open class ranks. And on the subject of good trotters, Oscar Bonavina and Winterfell back at the trials yesterday at Ashburton. So that trotting open class bunch heading into the trotting championships, the Anzac Cup and the Rowe Cup, still has lots and lots of moving parts.
Yeah, it definitely does. Let's get on to the Young Guns finals now and see what we're thinking with regards to them. First of those that we're having a look at, American Dealer. Not too many people saw this coming, although the Big Fish did mention he's a pretty nice horse in the preview.
Yeah, well, I spoke to Ray Green before the race and said, what do you make of this? And he tipped his other horse, which just goes to show you some horses turn up on the track better than they work at home. And he's done a massive job to beat a very well-respected All-Stars horse who got up and probably headed him. So I'm not sure how good he is. I suppose nobody knows yet. We might know some more after Friday night.
Yeah, it's all about faith, of course. Going down a short margin and knocking off about 9,800 people in the pick six, I think it was, Michael. Here's the market for this year's Brecon Farms Young Gun Cardigan Bay Stakes, and he's got a bit of breeding about him, American Dealer. Went back through his pedigree. His mother, Madison Delights, out of Pacing Grace, that's Pacing Major. All You Need Is Faith. Miss Graceful, who's done a nice job for Nigel McGrath thus far. So there's a bit of breeding there, but there's a dominant favourite here, Michael. $1.55 about Krug. I think he's the benchmark 2-year-old at the moment, and he's got the advantage of the barrier draw.
I agree with you. He has very high speed. I'm not entirely sure he'll just blast to the lead like this market would suggest, because there's a couple of stablemates inside him, and more importantly, he was actually beaten off the gate at Ashburton in the Sapling Stakes. So he'll probably win, but I'm not taking $1.55. I'm not sure this juvenile bunch have anywhere near worked themselves out yet. And I think we saw a couple go to the trials yesterday at Ashburton who might be progressive through a kindergarten stakes at Wyndham to be horses who'll be factors in those races in May. So he'll probably win, but too short for me.
Certainly in the north, it's been sorted out amongst the girls, because Passion and Power just continues to win. She had the barrier draw, she rolled straight to the front. She doesn't have it for the Delightful Lady this week, but oh, she's impressive, Michael.
When you look at the gaps here, she's outstanding. Second horse, excellent. And the third horse was really, really good. But you're getting 2-length gaps, 2-length gaps. They're getting further and further apart. It's really hard to make a case for those back in the field. They can turn it around to win. So then you say, OK, what about the first two? Well, the winner's got the second line draw. That sounds bad. But the second horse has got barrier 8, which is just as bad, if not worse. So the one thing you would say is She's No Lady has missed in a score up before, but there's nothing outside Passion and Power. So if that happened, they could swing around it. She should win. $1.20 is too short to find out. There's actually a market for this where Sky Delight's $1.95 a place, or top 3, as it's called in futures betting, or fixed odds betting. That's a great bet.
Yeah.
Because she was really good last week. She's quite a strong, chesty type of a filly, Greg. I can see her working around them and still being too good for most of these. Platinum was good as well. So I can't take $1.20 for the fave, but I can take $1.95 top 3 for the 8 horse.
Huge night there at the park. Starts just after 6 o'clock. Myself, Michael Guerin and Craig Thompson will be there, and we'll get you as much information to make sure you get involved at the park on one of their biggest nights of the year. Short break for us. When we come back, we've got a few races to review, including the 100th celebration, of course, the Taranaki Trotting Club's meeting there last Saturday. You're in your home straight with Woodlands, of course, the box seat. Time for us to go back to Addington Raceway. They raced twice, of course. Friday night, we saw an exceptional performance once again from Chloe Rose. Beautifully drawn up, Blair Orange in front, Tailored Elegance to her inside. Both of these heading down to the Oaks for Northern Southland Cup Day. They've got a really good program. We'll have a look at some of those features in a moment. But, gee, she won nicely, this trotting filly, and she's got a bright future.
She has. Trots beautifully. Came in that bend sweetly. It's a strange crop, this. I think Tailored Elegance just stood out starting this season, but that's clearly not the case here. Yeah, very much a crop in transition. Well done to Northern Southland. I love the fact they're having their own Oaks down there. It's cool. You know my views on all-female trotting races.
Yep, for sure. Speaking of 3-year-olds, here's another one. Hero Square. He's had 2 starts now and been exceptional in both of them. Time was outstanding, a 55-mile rate. Tim Williams was sitting in the bike because John Dunn was clearly at Alexandra Park. I got a chance to talk to John, though, post this performance. He was very, very good again.
Steal the show, Glenliddy Chief, Hero Square. Steal the show, Glenliddy Chief, Hero Square. Boy, he's smart. Hero Square beats Steal the Show, Glenliddy Chief, Minstrel. I'm a Gigolo. Cloud9 was pulled up.
Well, you're in love with this horse as a 2-year-old, and on his performance last week and then again tonight, I can see why.
Yeah, definitely. He always showed a fair bit at 2 and just a few wee issues. So we're just wrapped for the owners. They've been patient. We can get him back to the races, and he's going really good. Hopefully he can step up that neck notch to the good ones.
Look, he's copped some pressure tonight as well. Minstrel and Steal the Show. They're serious race horses, and he's given them a bit of a pacing lesson. The Derbies are beckoning, and he's the horse on the rise.
He is. Yeah, he's coming late and hot, so a few falling way by the wayside. So hopefully we can get there at the right time, and it'd be nice to get him to have running behind them now. Though he's had 2 in front, so you can't do that in a derby and win unless you're real good. So we'll try and go back to the drawing board and couple him behind.
Yeah, he's a smarty, and he'll be going to Addington Raceway for the Diamond Creek Derby. A big weekend it was in the CD, of course. We highlighted last week the 100-year celebration for the Taranaki Club and the Cup, and the colours that have been to the fore in the last couple of seasons with the driver, Blair Orange and Michael House, of course, and this is Santana Mark. Won the Palmerstonian. It's actually won 3 of its last 4 and appropriately took out this feature on Saturday.
Yeah, and look, well done to everybody involved with Taranaki Harness Racing. Of course, it's the region which had the great Yule Star, and if you don't have harness racing in these regions, you don't have horses like Yule Star. So that's why I'm glad it's kept going. So well done to Kari Holds, but more importantly, all the volunteers are involved in this because they've kept the flame burning down there.
Yeah, they have. They won 4 on the day, Michael House and Blair Orange. Let's go to Cheviot Racing at Addington on Sunday. Here's the Cup won by Burnham Boy. I didn't actually see this coming, but he won it, Michael, by the way he stepped, got to the trail, gets up the passing lane here. He's only had the 8 starts. Mark Jones has highlighted the supremacy down south. They went 3:16 in this. A very good time for a standing start for a 3-year-old. And there were some good runs in behind him. JT Tyron charged home. Dad and Dave in 3rd position. And mathematically, Stars Tonight couldn't get into it. And just on Dad and Dave, we'll talk about the Northern Southland Cup shortly, but part owner John Trathan passed away, and he was a great man for harness racing in the Nelson region. Big part to play in putting in the all-weather track there.
So is he Tim's dad?
That's correct, yep. Okay. So he passed away a couple of weeks ago. A sprint champion. I think he still holds the record on a grass track for 100 yards. So he was very talented and really loved his harness racing. So Dad and Dave will be a big chance there. Town Echo won the Leonard Memorial. I don't know that she was at her peak. We'll hear from Matt Anderson in a moment, but she's now 2 from 2. She's got a very bright future, and she was too strong in a race that's pretty sought after in the early stages of the 2-year-old filly season.
In front, she's holding. Sweet Lizzie is very game. She's trying hard, but Town Echo, she'll get home. She'll get home by about a neck in the finish. Sweet Lizzie is second.
Beating Sweet Lizzie there and did it in nice style. So I spoke to Matt Anderson about Town Echo post-race. Well, first of all, Matt, as a young trainer, to get a Group 3 so early on in your career is a big thrill, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's dead right. You know, we're still an amateur trainer and some ride at the moment, so, you know, we'll just, you know, take what we can get, and really grateful we've got a nice wee filly and a great group of connections, so very pleasing.
She won very well at the trials before her race day debut, although on that occasion you said, look, I think she's about 85, maybe 90. On picking, you've had your challenges since she won that race.
Yeah, that's right. You know, she pulled up super, and then a couple of days later, she you know, made a wee turn for the worse, to be, you know, quite frank. So, you know, we've really had to you know, work around the clock this week and really fight to get her back, you know, on her doorstep today. So yeah, very good effort by the horse.
Yeah, look, she was all out towards the end, but she had enough tenacity to hold them off. I think that probably stands her in pretty good stead.
Yeah, that's right. Moving forward, obviously, you know, it gives you a lot of confidence. You know, I think if we can get her 100% on a day, you know, she'll show her true worth.
Have you got a plan? Are there races you guys have picked out, or has it simply been a case of just getting her to the races and getting the wins on the board?
Look, you know, being a 2-year-old and you know, the nature of that sort of beast, you know, you've got to take, you know, each start as it comes and each day also. So, you know, horse comes first and she'll tell us.
And she's clearly told Matt and the connections, because she's making her way down south to Northern Southland. It is the Caduceus Club of Southland Alabar Classic, and that is on Saturday for their big race day. Nina Simone's in there. We've got a few videos to have a look at because it's Northern Southland Cup Day as well. So let's have a look at some of the features from there. We've already talked about the Oaks, Michael, but here's Nina Simone. She's a Bettor's Delight filly out of Regret. Jean Feast owns, trained by the All Stars. That's her in front. There's a bit to like about her, and she takes on Town Echo, who's come up with Barrier 1.
Town Echo's going to be hard to beat from Barrier 1, but Nina Simone looks a nice filly. We haven't seen a lot of her though, so it's hard to work out who's copying the racing better and how experienced they are and who's going to handle the treble. So in these situations, I tend to want to back the horses in front.
Yeah, well, Sweet Lizzie, who had to sit parked in the Leonard Memorial, is also there, but she's come up with Barrier 6. Here's Nandolo charging home. Another Masterpiece wins this race, and of course, these horses have been going to war a bit lately, haven't they? The likes of Nandolo, Dad and Dave, who gets his chance off the front, Michael. I thought Nandolo was very good here. Henry Cubitt's there. We haven't seen him since Alexandra Park Inter-Dominion campaign. Classy Brigade has to start off the 25 metres. So a deep race for the Yoldhurst Hotel Northern Southland Cup. But the mine host there, Dave McHugh, part owns Dad and Dave, so I'm sure he'll give you one heck of a sight. And here's Heavyweight Hero, does finish second on this occasion, but I think he'll take all sorts of beating. This is a really good trot race. Prez the Bell, Monty Python, War Admiral, won a polo off the front. So it's a deep race, Michael, and Splash Cola, who won that race, well, we know she's been in outstanding form.
Yeah, she's doing a super job. What a race day. These are the race days you love about harness racing, because we think so often it comes down to Alexandra Park or Addington, but there'll be a lot of really loyal harness racing people down there, and they've got a great day. Those handicap races like that big cup, they're just gold. Yep. I have no idea who's going to win it. I'll go for Dad and Dave, but yeah, so much depends on who steps and how hard they go. But I hope the club has a super day, because the other sort of race days you wish you could go to. I'll be at Allergy this week. You're at Trentham, I think.
Yeah, I am.
Doing something else. You wish you could go to all these, but if you're in the Southland region, you can. All
right, Reefton and Westport, of course, they'll be racing as well as part of this week. What about bets? Rarity last week, Michael. We both got one home. What about this week?
I'm on Triple Eight at the 2.4. More than happy to be on him. And you're off to Invergiggle for Jawbreaker.
Yeah, I am for the Northern Southland team. I'm with Jawbreaker. I think it can win. It comes out of that maiden on Cup Day at Addington.
Just as easily for me could have been Bella Montana. I really like her at Menangle on Saturday.
All right, the Woodlands winner, of course, was Amazing Dream. This is her taking out the Pascoes, the Jewelers at Northern Oaks. So, yep, a big winner for Woodlands there. Team Teal, their figure, I think they're well over 25,000 now. They've got a couple of weeks to go there, so show your support, and well done to all the female drivers that just keep on delivering with the winners there.
But to James Stormont and Michael Stormont, their mum has passed away a couple of days ago. Obviously the Stormont family, a massive name in Northern Racing. So we're thinking of you guys, and yeah, she lived a wonderful life, aged 95.
All right, if you've got any friends too that don't have Sky and therefore can't watch trackside, you can check us out pretty much the following day. Just log in the box seat on YouTube and you can have a look at this week's show. That's another week, a busy week, an even busier weekend coming up. Hope you enjoy it. We'll see you in 7 days' time.